Hey y'all, it's Thanksgiving week, and you know what that means on the special report. It's time for our holiday specials, and we couldn't be more excited to have back with us this morning celebrity chef Art Smith, and joining us for the first time is travel expert Sandra McLemore. They are both answering your questions about how to travel safely for the holidays and how to make a Thanksgiving meal that will wow your guests. So start posting your travel questions and your how to make the best turkey questions because we're going to answer those questions with our special guest all coming up next.
Live from Los Angeles, this is the Special Report with Ariva Martin.
Y'all are in for a treat today because best-selling author, Top Chef favorite, and chef to the stars, including Oprah Winfrey herself, is back. Yes, Chef Art Smith is in the house. And if you have not done so already, make sure you check out, pick up, buy, and gift his cookbook, Art Smith's Healthy Comfort: How America's Favorite Celebrity Chef Got It Together, Lost Weight, and Reclaimed His Health. Good morning and welcome back to the show, Chef Art.
Good morning, honey. It's such a pleasure. Happy holidays. Thanksgiving is almost upon us,
I know.
and today I have a little studio down the street, but I'm doing it. This is my kitchen and just to see. You see all this? You see all
Beautiful.
this?
Beautiful.
I grew all of it.
Oh my God, how amazing. That's
You know,
incredible.
we
But
moved with
before
the
we start,
kids.
I'm sorry,
Go
before we
ahead.
start cooking, Chef, I want to just ask you, it's been a year since you were with us, and so much has happened in that year: lockdowns, quarantines, COVID, vaccinations. Just want to know how you and your family have fared during this last 12 months.
Well, the family's doing okay. My boys are they're in Orlando. The girls are doing great. Everybody's great. You know, no one's been sick. I did. You know, I was vaccinated, but I also uh, got COVID myself. You know, which was it did help with the vaccination, but I felt like okay, like I can, all the poor people who are dealing with this I felt like, you know, God gave it to me so that I'd have empathy for people because it's kind of hard not to think that, you know, it's there, but it is there. So, and particularly during the holidays, this is a very sensitive time, you know, we most traditional holiday food it's like a time capsule.
Hmm.
It's food that, it came from our family members or their ancestors,
Right.
and it reconnects us to them. And they're no longer with us, so it makes us sad. So I'm sure there are many Americans that are making dishes who have lost mothers and fathers and and loved ones due to the pandemic and just to life. And so, but the wonderful thing about food is that it's like water for chocolate. You know, it's like you can get happy and joyful, or you can cry in your food or whatever. But I like yesterday, I made a pot of greens this big,
Wow.
and I was going through town, and there was this big truck just filled to the sky with all these different greens. And once upon a time, Patty LaBelle taught me this recipe. I love Patty. Don't you love Patty? And
Absolutely.
Patty can cook. Okay, she can
Cook.
cook. All right,
Yes.
I mean she can cook. And so anyway, so Patty does these. I don't know if it's over the rainbow mac and cheese or over the rainbow greens or whatever. But she takes all the different greens and puts them together. And I put turnips and I put mustards and I put collards, and then I put another green, and I even put cabbage in it. And I did them vegan. And you make that Holy Trinity. You know what the Holy Trinity is, don't you?
Yes, the
You
onions, the
know,
peppers, the celery, all of that together gives it that amazing flavor and seasoning without the meat. You don't even miss the ham hocks or the neck bones or the pork that traditionally our family members, our ancestors would put into greens. So I'm
mm,
glad you told us that we can do it with the Holy Trinity and not miss the meat at all.
honey, I am like the St. Francis of Assisi of chefs, okay? I mean, not only do I grow things, but I have a yard full of birds behind us. If I lift the window, you'd hear them, okay? I have a flock of ducks, and they make these beautiful eggs. You see that egg? Can you see that beautiful egg?
I do.
Every day, they're very good for you, very high in omegas, right?
We're going to use that egg, right, Art? Because you're making something today.
We are.
Made sausage dressing. What are we making today? What are you cooking today?
The point I was going to make you is I've got a flock of turkeys out there, but guess what? We're not eating them. Okay. All right. They're pets. Okay. Oh, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious. Okay. Listen, there's one thing that should never be missing on the table. Okay. I know everybody's so crazy about carbs and everything. Bread.
Yes.
You got to have bread. So this recipe, very simple. You take about 2 cups or so flour. You have the recipe there.
Yes, this is a pear.
Okay.
This is bread, Art, but it felt more like a coffee or morning cake to me. No.
Well, honey, I think it's appropriate either as for morning or for breakfast or for your holiday celebration. I do both. I also make sourdough, but for the holidays, I love sweet things because the sweet things remind us that life can be sweet.
Yes.
So what I've done here, I've taken flour, which I've already put baking powder and baking soda in, okay? And you can also just buy self-rising flour, okay, perfectly. King Arthur makes great one. And what we're going to do is simple. I'm going to take an egg and break it into our pan there, simple. And I'm going to add like a little bit, 1/4 cup of oil. And you can use sunflower oil, safflower oil, whatever you wish. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some apple juice, which I haven't pulled out yet, but I'm going to pull it out right now. This I didn't squeeze by hand, okay? So I'm going to add a little apple juice in that.
And don't worry, this recipe is going to be on our Facebook, our Instagram. It's also in Chef Art Smith's Healthy Comfort Cookbook. So if you miss a step, don't worry because we have the recipe for you.
And what I have here, I have like a handful. See that? Of candied ginger. Now, you can also do, if you don't have candied ginger, do it like I do. I take the ginger, I cook it in sugar water. And what's great about that is I don't put as much sugar in it, but it makes a wonderful addition to add to your tea. So if you like herb tea, so you can use everything. So I'm going to
I'm noticing you have 2 bowls. Us amateur bakers put everything in 1 bowl. Is there a problem with that?
Okay. Thank you for saying that because I'm supposed to be a chef and I'm supposed to be educating people at the time. It's important to have a dry bowl. Hello. And it's important to have a wet bowl.
Okay.
You see? So you put all your wet ingredients in 1 bowl and all your dry in the other. Okay? Got it?
Yes, got it.
Because when you mix the 2, that's when you're going to put it right in the oven. I'm going to add that ginger there. The next thing I'm going to do is I've got some pears. I did not grow these pears. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Okay. And I don't even peel them. Okay.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, if you don't have pear, put whatever you got. Don't worry about it. Just remember, last night I made a panettone, which is an Italian bread, which I'm going to make again because I think it's okay what I made, but I know I can make better. I want to add those in there.
Apples if you don't have pears, right? Everybody has apples.
You can use apples. You can use whatever you want. And it's just pears always seem to be like a really nice. I also think the more fruit, the better. Okay. And so I just take my fruit and I'm just going to I just chop it up. You know, I love the holidays because I think the holidays are a great time to prepare these traditional foods as well as just kind of get together, have a long conversation. My other big thing now, which I want to really focus on now, you know, I'm opening a big new restaurant in Chicago called Reunion at Chicago Navy Pier. And I really am sad that reunions have kind of disappeared. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they
now here's some
wants to do the cooking, Art. Everybody wants to buy out, carry out, have brought in. But reunions are the time when we would all make our favorite dishes and bring them and share.
Right. Okay. So we have some toasted pecans. We grow those here. I've toasted them. Okay. I'm going to take these and yes, they reunions are this. You know what I did, honey? All my mother and father both passed away. My grandparents, they weren't having the reunions. So I decided to have one. And what I did was I got friends in the area to cater it. Well, to be honest with you, this wasn't the same. I told myself that the next time that I do it, I myself are going to have to do that. All right. So the other thing what we could do is
I saw you chopping the fruit and the nuts. Don't put these in like a food processor, huh? Don't make them too small.
No, because the reason being is the food processor produces heat.
Okay.
And what happens is, like with fruit, it'll make it too juicy. With nuts, if you're not careful, you'll have butter. You know what I mean? It just is not as good. And plus, when it's roughly cut, it's much nicer. All right, I'm going to add about a cup of sugar. Now, you can also do Splenda if you want to. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to add this mixture. You see what I'm doing now?
Yes. Slowly.
We're going to slowly. Can you see that? I'm adding that slowly into that. Okay.
Right.
I think it's kind of charming that we can communicate like this. I love the new normal because I think it actually makes it more real. I have a cameraman, but I'm not, which is it's not with me. But the reality is that I like this because it's upfront and personal. So we just take this and we want to mix those two together. See how we're mixing it together? But remember, it's kind of like pancake batter. You don't want to overmix it. Okay. All right. And you could, if you wanted to, you could add some cinnamon or in this, if you wanted some. It doesn't need it.
What about nutmeg? Could you add some nutmeg?
You sure could. But I kind of think Thanksgiving is a sea of nutmeg. Yeah, it's in pie, it's in this, everything.
Could you put vanilla in there, Art? Is there vanilla extract?
No, I didn't, but we can. We can walk right over here. Let me walk off camera. So you're making me change my recipe online, but I like that. Okay. All right. I'll have to.
Vanilla goes in everything that's kind of sweet and has fruit and nuts in it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we just take this, but this is the part you're gonna love, okay, honey? And I want to tell you something. I live in a very rural town. I came here because my mother, God bless her, she was not well. She passed away from Alzheimer's. Now I'm going to pour this in a pre-greased low pan, okay? You see this, what I'm doing? All right? Everybody following me?
Yes. No butter and flour in that pan?
Nope. Yes, I did spray it with a little cooking spray, but you can. But these are really good. These are my Lorena Garcia pans I use. So there you have. You see that?
If you don't have that fancy pan, should you put butter and the traditional, like old school flour and shake it around?
Sure you should. You could just take a regular cake pan and put it in. Okay. But this is what I like to do that you'll love. Okay. See what you do?
Yes.
You see the pear?
Very cute.
Lay that on top. So this is the part I want to tell you the story. You want to hear this good little story? So it's pandemic. I have a beautiful oven stove right here. Okay.
Okay.
It don't work, and there's nobody to fix it.
Okay.
So I will send you some pictures, and you will be shocked how I've been baking over the past year. Okay. Let me show you my little tool here. It's called a toaster oven.
I love it. Okay. I have one. I make everything in it.
So you do it too. But did you know I sold a book baking out of that oven?
I didn't. I'm going to have to get it because once I bought it, it was like $35. I won't even turn my oven on. I make fish. I make vegetables. I make everything in that little oven because it's efficient and it's just quick and easy.
And sometimes, sometimes I'll take it over to my little studio, which we call Chateau Gigi, and my friend Gigi owns it. And the kids will go, "Where is the oven?" Because the kids love to use it. But look at here. Can you see that?
That's amazing. Okay, look what I did.
Oh,
I
bless yours is sliced and beautiful.
But look at yours.
No.
It has a pear on top. It's gorgeous. I actually, look at that. Look how moist it looks. Mine was made yesterday, sliced so that I could brag. I'd have bragging rights. Okay, I'm not going to take credit. My executive producer, Candy, who you know very well, made it
Uh-huh.
and delivered it to me so that I wouldn't be sitting here without one because I was so busy over the weekend I couldn't make it. So
Oh, I understand. No
I'm
problem.
super excited to taste hers. But it looks delicious. I'm going to have some. I'm going to share it with my neighbors. But I want to ask you, everybody get, again, recipe on Facebook, on Instagram. We're going to share this recipe for this wonderful bread. It's moist. It's delicious. It's a ginger pecan loaf. But I got to ask you some questions before I let you go because this is Thursday, biggest holiday for a lot of people. Some people making their first Thanksgiving dinner, and people are nervous. So we ask our viewers to send us some questions. And so we've got to have some questions for me. I got to try this before I let you go, but I want to get these questions in for you. Having this debate with our producer, Rashad, based or no baste the turkey? If you put the turkey in one of those bags, do you need to worry about basting it or, like what's the best way to ensure a super juicy turkey?
Well, my problem with those bags are it just makes everything wet.
Mm.
So this is my technique. You can choose to brine or not to brine. Brining turkey will make your turkey also more juicier. You can buy brine turkeys. My only concern with that is how much sodium's in it.
Yeah.
I've eaten on many a turkey. Do you think our mothers brine turkeys? No. What they would do, they would kind of season it after they thawed it out in the refrigerator, and then they season it and put it in the fridge, and then they get up early and bake it. It'd take all day. Personally, what I would do is this is how I do it, okay? Because sometimes I don't brine either. I take my turkey and I rub it real well with all my seasoning, salt and pepper, and maybe I put some sage and thyme and rosemary, whatever. And then, and sometimes I use butter or sometimes I use olive oil. But one thing I find that works, okay? Get yourself a rack that fits in your roasting pan, or put something, or better yet, what you do is put lots of chopped up vegetables on the bottom, like celery, onions, carrots, everything. And that becomes a wrap. And what you do is when you roast your turkey, make sure your turkey is turned on. I put my oven at 400. So I let it breast side up first at 400. So it starts getting crisp and wonderful and, wonderful.
Right.
And then I flip it. And that's how I do it. But and it's beautiful. And then I just roast it really slow. And I usually roast about 280, about 300. And I can put a little foil on top to keep it from not getting overly, not too dry. And you've got to get a meat thermometer. It's very, very important. A thermometer, one, will keep you from getting yourself sick. And two, no one wants to eat an underdone turkey. Yeah. I also wanted to tell everybody, what's great about the toaster. These little gizmos are great, but as you know, since you have one, you have to preheat them well, right? And we to make our bread, we preheated the oven to 400, and then I turned it down to 350. Okay, and I do that for about 15 minutes and turned out. But going back to that, if you just allow yourself, like I already have my turkey in here. And I buy locally. And like I said, none of my turkeys in my backyard are going to appear on my table, okay? They all have names and they're all my pets, okay? And I have to admit to you, mine is frozen. Okay, why?
That's another question. People often say, do I need to get fresh or can I do frozen? Is there any difference in terms of the taste?
I don't think so. I think the way that they do things now that are so well done in terms of the freezing part is it's just okay. And I think a lot of people, I could drive 20 miles to get a fresh one.
Right.
But why do I need to spend 20 miles on gas and carbon, blah, 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 right, to go get a turkey that's fresh? I don't need to do that. Okay. Or I could order one. I don't need to do that either. I have one. It's perfect. It's a nice size one. Turkey. If you're going to feed a lot of people, it's better to roast two turkeys instead of one big turkey. Or you do one turkey about yay big, and have a breast on the side. That's perfect.
That's a
Um,
really smart idea because those bigger turkeys are really intimidating. Most people can't get them, you can't cook them
right.
without drying them out or undercooking them, but that's really smart to do two smaller turkeys.
Right. And a lot of people say, should I stuff the bird or not stuff the bird? In the South, we don't stuff a bird, we dress a bird. Okay. Personally, what I do is I take chopped celery and onions and everything and put it in the cavity and do that, and it's perfect. Okay. I also I don't put the stuffing in the dressing in the bird. And what I like to use is I make a cornbread, the one that Oprah loves. It's real simple. I bake a pan of cornbread, I crumble it, and then I add some chicken sausage that I cook carefully. You don't have to use chicken sausage. You can use. I just made the best vegan chili with a plant protein base, and I put apple or pear, either one. And
Stop you for a second, Art. You just said something that made me think of a question I always have. Why don't you stuff the turkey with the cornbread stuffing that you're making? Wouldn't that make everything just taste better?
it's just so much fat in it with the bird because of all the juices and stuff. And you asked a question whether you should baste a bird or whether you should not. The thing about it is a lot of people put so much butter on the bird so that they have all this butter in the pan, and so they baste. And I guess it's okay. It works. I've done it both ways. Julia Child, God bless her, I knew her. She used to live down the street from Oprah. It's in Montecito. I don't know if you knew that. And when Oprah moved to Montecito, I used to go visit her. And I made her a tomato pie. She loved it. It was Oprah's favorite tomato pie. So I took Julia Child's tomato pie. I was quite intimidated, but she loved it. And anyway, she would take cheesecloth and soak it in butter because for her, butter is butter, and she would just drape the turkey in the butter soaked cheesecloth cloth. Right. Yeah. And some people do it that too. Personally, I think it's the holidays. You all been roasting turkeys for a long time. If you're happy with what you're doing, why change it?
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need to tell you how to change it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, before I let you go, I'm running out of time, but I have to ask you about vegetables. The turkey is the main attraction, but the sides are really important. And Brussels sprouts have become like the thing, crispy Brussels sprouts with bacon and, maple syrup and all these fancy ways. But how do you make a Brussels sprout that's crispy and still done? So it's really like, how do you make it without making it soggy? Is there a trick to that?
Well, the trick is that if you're going to cook, I'm gonna give you two things that I do. Okay, put your oven at the hottest temperature it can be. Take your Brussels sprouts and drizzle some olive oil, salt and pepper, and toss them, and salt and pepper, and then spread them out on a baking sheet. Okay, and you're going to roast them on the baking sheet until they're just tender. All right, and then on the side you can add maple syrup and butter, and you can cook it down. And then you can just kind of, once they come out of the oven, don't do it in the oven because they'll burn. You can toss them in that, and you can add a little apple cider vinegar if you want a little tartness to it. You know what we do? This is something that we do at Blue Door Kitchen in Chicago. We take our Brussels sprouts. This is so delicious, I'm telling you. We shred them really, really thin like coleslaw. And then we add kale. And then we put some pine nuts in it and some Parmesan cheese. And we make just a simple little dressing, and we make it with sesame or tahini and olive oil. And it is so delicious. Try it raw for a change, honey. We don't eat enough raw food. It is delicious.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you for that, Art. And anyone that lives in Chicago, make sure you check out his new restaurant, Reunion. You can check out his cookbook, Art Smith's Healthy Comfort. It's available everywhere where books are sold. Check out some of these recipes, and don't forget this wonderful pear pecan bread that Candy's going to kill me if I don't eat. But I'm like Art, I'm like carb crazy right now, so I'm going to eat it, Candy. Don't worry, I'm going to eat it. I just have to build up my I don't know. I got to get in the carb mood to eat it.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, thank you so much, Art, for joining us again. Keep cooking those amazing dinners. Keep showing us how we can eat great food, but healthy food. got to have you back. So I got to talk about this amazing weight loss journey that you went on, because you cook soul food and Southern food, but you do it, like you said, those greens without meat in a way that's healthy so we can enjoy some of our ancestor, some of those foods that we grew up eating, but we don't
How I do it? Look here. You
pack on
see?
our
Can you
parents.
see? I've got my walking shoes on right here. Okay, and every day I walk 3 miles every day.
Fantastic. That's
That's
wonderful.
all I do.
Keep being healthy and keep showing the world how to make those great recipes.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining
Thank
us.
you. My
Happy
pleasure.
Thanksgiving, Art.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Now, my next guest is Sandra McLemore. She's a travel industry expert. She can be seen in flight TV and cruise line channels, and she's worked in the travel industry for 2 decades. And some folks will be at home cooking some of Art's recipes, but others are hitting the road this holiday season. So, welcome, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Areva. Happy holidays for you and all of your family.
Oh, thank you. And for your husband and baby. I hope you guys are going to have great holidays. But help us understand, like, travel this season. I'm reading all these reports that we're not quite pre-pandemic, but millions and millions of people are traveling, some by plane and some by car. So what are you travel experts predicting is going to happen around travel this season?
So there's a lot going on this holiday season. Firstly, we're going to see the most number of people traveling since before the pandemic. So we are expecting around just over 53 million Americans to be traveling. So that's a lot. So we're going to find the majority of those people traveling through airports and a little by car as well. So if you breezed through the traffic last year, you want to brace yourself for this year, because there are going to be more people on the road. Lots of precautions that you can take there to get to your destination safely. Obviously, fatigue is the biggest issue on the road. So you want to make sure that you are well rested, sharing the driving, planning out your route. You and I both live in Los Angeles. We know that even the smallest 15-mile journey can take 2 hours if you go at the wrong time of day, right?
Yes. And then
So
what about gas prices, Sandra? Gas prices in some places are like $3.50, $4, even $5 a gallon. So are people traveling by car given those high gas prices?
Yeah, well, that's probably why there's more people traveling by air. So yes, travel has gone up across the board, and so has road trips, but air travel is through the roof. And I would imagine it's partially because of gas. We see here $6 to $7 in Los Angeles on the worst days possible, the really fancy gas stations. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's why a lot of people are flying. That being said, air travel is more expensive now than it usually is, and so too is car rental and hotel stays. Travel as a whole is up in terms of costs. But when you've been away from your family for 1 or 2 years, I can understand why people are feeling more confident to travel and why they just really don't want to stay at home this year. They haven't seen their people for a long time,
Really great point. I saw this really horrible story, though, about the Atlanta airport. I guess over the weekend, someone tried to get through the security checkpoint with a loaded gun. The gun
Yeah.
went off and sent, passengers, travelers, like scrambling, thinking there was some kind of active shooter. Can you bring a loaded gun to the airport? I just want people to know, like, what are the rules about guns in airports?
Look, I hope I'm not the first person to tell somebody that you can't bring a loaded gun into the airport. But if you've never heard that before, no, you cannot bring a loaded gun into an airport. Airports, most people don't realize, are federal buildings. So it's not your local law, it's not your town culture, it is a federal building, which means that there are federal laws there. Each airline and the airports themselves have very strict rules on how you can travel with a gun if you feel that you need to take a gun to Thanksgiving this year. But for the most part, it's checking it in. You can't walk around in an airport with a gun or take it on a plane. But I'm going to say, Areva, that I would not be surprised that we see a lot more incidents over this holiday season. There have been over 5,400 incidents of violence in the skies, mostly people not wanting to wear a mask. Can you believe it? People are literally getting into physical altercations with other passengers, with flight crew over not wearing a mask. So look, when it comes to holiday travel this season, there's a lot of things that could hold you up on your flight. We have the regular weather. So your flight might be delayed because it's winter. And, my friends and family tell me here in California, why is our flight delayed? It's perfect here. Well, your plane is often coming in from somewhere else, right? So you'll have your regular winter delays. You may experience delays coming through TSA. As I'm sure you know, TSA workers, because they're federal employees, are mandated to be vaccinated. And not everybody wanted to do it. So around November 4th, they only had 60% of TSA workers in the airport vaccinated, and they have until November 22nd, so today, to get that done. We'll see what the fallout from that is, because today was their deadline to have to register that they are vaccinated. Right. Even the smallest amount of TSA workers not showing up for work this holidays could be disastrous, because there's just over 400 airports, and only 200 of those have pre-screen, TSA pre-screen. So even some TSA workers not being able to show up to work is going to slow you down. Right. And then, of course, people's behavior. Ariva, that's the one variable that you can never take into account, how long that's going to take you. All it takes is one person in the line in front of you to not do the right thing, not say the right thing. This holiday season, you want to pack a ton of patience to get where you're going.
Advice. And thank you for reminding folks that these buildings are federal buildings. So not only does it mean they're governed by federal law, it means that federal prison time and federal fines attached to any of that bad behavior. So if you act up in the skies, yes, they can land the plane and have federal agents meet you, escort you off the plane, and you will be prosecuted. And you could find yourself on a no-fly list. Yes.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to get on one of those, because that's not a list you can take yourself off.
Yeah. So you may be forever.
Yeah, I know that people have different opinions when it comes to vaccines and masks. And whilst I don't always understand them, I respect that. But when it comes to travel, it's not a time to share your opinion.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's not. And if you're going to fly, you're already saying that you're going to comply with the rules that have been established. And that means keeping that mask over your nose and your mouth when you're not eating or drinking. I just had an experience. I had to fly to St. Louis. I'm sitting next to a guy, and the flight crew offered me something to drink, but I didn't want to drink because the guy next to me had already been less than compliant with his mask wearing. So I said, no, thank you, because I wanted to make sure I kept my mask on fully during the whole flight. So also be careful and mindful, I should say, of people sitting next to you, in front of you, and behind you, because even though these are the rules and the airports and lines have made them known, still people who want to,
when
your rules don't apply in the air, people.
That's it. When you buy your ticket, you're actually agreeing, whether or not you mentally or emotionally agree, you are actually agreeing to go into a contract with the airline. So when you click on that purchase and you enter in your credit card details, you're agreeing to do what they say. Ariva, I have some great travel tips if you would like me to share them with everybody.
Yes, I would. I'd love you. But before you do that, I want to ask you one thing about kids.
Tell me.
Mother, I have kids. Those folks that don't have kids find this time of year, this travel can be very frustrating, because they might find themselves on a flight with children, and children, make noise. They cry, they scream, they get bored, they get restless. So I hope one of your tips has to do with how to fly when you either yourself have kids or you're on a flight with someone else's kids.
You know what? That's a great point. I don't have it on my list, but let me address it now. If you are concerned about sitting near children or traveling around children, let me just be super to the point. You were a child once, and your parents had to take you somewhere. So small children, and as Ariva mentioned, I have a small child, he's 2. They sense when things are not good. They sense when people are agitated. They sense when people are uncomfortable. The best thing you can do if you see a parent struggling with a small child is just to give them a little space. Give a mom a smile or flash a dad a wave, and just give them a little space, because children will calm down eventually, but obviously they're agitated and there's something wrong. And the best thing you can do as a fellow passenger is just to give them some space. I remember traveling with my child when he was 12 weeks old, and he's a great flyer, but I had people come and ask me, can I help you with your cabin bag? Can I help you put your stroller on board? And it was just a really nice way to travel, knowing that people wanted to help. But if you have small children and you are traveling with them, preparation is the key. Like I said, I've been flying with my baby since he was 12 weeks old, and things like diaper changes before you get on board to make sure that you don't need to do them in the sky will often help. Making sure that you have all of your kids' food and snacks packed in all together, even if the kids usually carry their own snacks. So a lot of parents will divide it between the kids' backpacks. disaster going through TSA if you do it that way. My top tip for that is to put all your snacks into one bag. So if you do have liquids for children and babies, because the rules are different for babies, put them all into one bag. And then once you get through security, you can then distribute snacks to multiple children. It's much easier than everybody carrying snacks in their own bag.
That's great. Okay, so you have some tips. Go ahead.
I do. So the first tip is actually probably something that most people don't think of. And just even if you're traveling, so some people will be traveling domestically and some may be lucky enough to be going abroad, but you want to start thinking about and researching the COVID protocols in the destination that you are going to. Right. It recently occurred to me when I was walking around Target here and I saw a woman in Target with no mask on, which, as you know, in LA is highly unusual. It turns out that she was on vacation from Florida. When the store staff asked her to put her mask on, she said, "Oh, I don't have to wear it." And they said, "Well, yeah, we've always had to wear it. Where have you been the last year and a half?" And she said, "In Florida," which made me realize, yeah, she has to put her mask on. But depending on what state you're coming from, your rules may be different, your state, your county, or your city. So I really want people to stop, take a second, and research the destination that you're going in. There is a big difference between visiting Florida this holiday season or Texas and visiting California or New York.
New York, yeah. No,
yes, ma'am. So you want to know specifically two things. Number one, what is the mask mandate in the destination that you're going to? And number two, what is the vaccine mandate? Do you have to show your vaccine card? Do you have to be vaccinated to enter certain establishments or participate in certain activities? Yeah. You may feel very comfortable at home knowing what you can and cannot do, but just traveling one county to the side or one state up, it's going to change everything. So that is my first tip to everybody.
Great tip. That's really a good tip.
Okay, next one is vaccine card. So these are the good old vaccine cards that we were given when we had our vaccine. And I'm so scared to lose these. So I try not to travel with them very often because I actually don't know what's involved in getting a replacement. And I don't want to find out. I cannot imagine it's an easy feat. So what you can do is there are a bunch of free apps that you can upload your vaccine card information into the app. Now, don't panic because you're not uploading a lot of personal information. This is less information than what's on your driver's license. All it really is uploading is the date that you got your shot, the first shot and the second shot if you had Pfizer or Moderna, or just the one shot if you had J&J, and where you got your shot. So when you enter it into one of these apps, Ariva, not only does it take a record of it so that you can show that instead of having to carry around your card, it also verifies that you are actually vaccinated. Yeah, and I really like that.
Cards allowed. No.
What's that?
No phony cards, right?
Man, I saw them on sale on Etsy and I was appalled. It will catch up to these people later. I think that people have to remember this is not an arts and crafts opportunity to take creative license. It's a federal offense to forge one of these. You can tell them.
Yeah, no, not only is it a federal offense, but you're not protected. So you may be fooling someone to get into your favorite restaurant, but you're going into an unsafe environment. So either get vaccinated, or if you're not vaccinated, get the information so you can figure out how to get vaccinated.
Yeah, and if you're
in the world right now, it is the vaccinated world.
Yeah, it's two ideas living in one world. And also there are people around you that can't get vaccinated. So my child is 2 years of age and he's really relying on everybody around him to do the right thing. There are people with health conditions and really legit reasons why they cannot be vaccinated. So yeah, that's one of my biggest pieces of advice. The app that I want to recommend to everybody is called Clear, CLEAR. And Clear, you might recognize if you fly often or you've flown recently, you might see them in the airport. They are actually the company that do security screening. So you'll have TSA PreCheck and Clear. You don't have to pay for the Clear membership to get through the airport quickly in order to upload your vaccine card. The vaccine card can be uploaded into the Clear Health Pass for free. So there's no cost, no credit card that you have to input. And so that's a really great app for everybody to know. Like I said, you don't have to be a paying member of Clear. A lot of the big sporting events are actually turning to Clear now in order to make sure that people are showing their vaccines. I know that baseball games, basketball games, and some football games are using this company. And so it's a really good idea to protect your card and upload it into an app.
And I'm actually a Clear member, so that's great. I didn't know about, uploading my vaccination card to Clear, but no, a great point. That's really good.
Yeah, I want to tell the whole world about Clear, but I kind of don't, because I really love the fact that I can get through LAX in about 3 minutes. So let's tell everybody, but not tell everybody.
Yeah, no, that's a really good tip.
All right, my next tip is about re-entry into the United States. So this is for anybody heading out of the country. Somebody recently told me, well, I'm just going to Mexico. Mexico is out of the country. So basically, if you are heading out of the country, anywhere outside of the USA, you need to have a negative COVID test to re-enter back into the US. Now, obviously, it depends on how long you're away, but for the most part, anything more than 48 to 72 hours, depending on where you're going, will require you to have a test. So you need to know about these things and think about these things before you go. You also need to have a plan. What would happen if you were on vacation in Jamaica or Mexico or Barbados and all of a sudden you did get a COVID test? You have to now stay there for an extra 10 days. Can you afford to pay for your hotel?
Yeah.
Do you have the extra funds to be away? There are some travel insurance policies that will actually cover that. So now more than ever, I've always been a big advocate of having travel insurance. You never need it until you need it.
Let me say this about travel insurance. Read the fine print.
Yes.
Because I bought travel insurance, and when I needed to use it, what I needed it for was exempt from the. So just make sure you read the fine print and you know what you're buying. I'm not going to say I'm anti-travel insurance, but I am pro understanding what you're purchasing.
Oh, I 100% am on the same page as you. I remember buying a travel insurance policy when I was pregnant and didn't realize that it doesn't cover pregnancy. So here you are thinking you're doing the right thing and you're not. But that leads me to my next point. You need to be using, where possible, a professional and certified travel advisor, because when you do that, you're asking somebody who has years of education, who is certified with the American Society for Travel Advisors, who has all of the insurances and everything in place. But basically, their experience, they can read travel insurance policies and match you to the best one. Of course, you should also read the fine print. But, our family's heading off to France in a few weeks, and we had our travel advisor pick a travel insurance policy that met all of the needs that we have. So if you're heading outside of the country, you absolutely should take one. I wanted to also quickly mention these box kits. So there are a number of these on the market, and you definitely need to do your research and reading on them. But we carry these with us so that at any time we can take a test inside of our hotel room. It's on a video.
The rapid COVID test kits?
Yeah, so these are NAAT tests, and these are actually sufficient for coming back in with Delta and American Airlines when you fly in. So we have maybe 20 boxes of these at home.
Where can you buy them? How much do they cost?
So they cost anywhere from $25 to $45 each, and you can buy them online when they are available. So you can just Google at home COVID test. The best place to actually find them is to go to the airline that you're flying with and see which one your airline recommends. So Delta recommended a certain brand, American Airlines recommended a different brand. But I flew in from Switzerland. I went on a business trip recently, and I was able to take a test in Switzerland before coming back to the US. Now, I jumped onto a video chat with somebody who watched me take the test, told me a little bit further, Mrs. McLemore, and put it into the solution, and then I had to wait 15 minutes. It did feel like a pregnancy test, I'm not going to lie, but thankfully it came back negative.
Painful. The pregnancy test, you're just kind of urinating on a stick. These things are like touching on.
You've got to get a good swab. But what I really liked was the convenience of being able to do it from where I was. So you can do it from your hotel room, from a cruise cabin, from wherever you are. Now, one thing I have to tell you, these kits have been around a really long time, but they were developed for the flu. So when the pandemic happened, the makers of these tests decided to slightly adjust their formulas and algorithms for COVID, they had a choice as to whether or not they leaned more towards a false positive or more towards a false negative. And they chose, obviously, to lean more towards a false positive. So there is a 3% chance that you could get a false positive.
Right.
When I take these tests, Ariba, I take them as a baseline, and knowing that if I get a positive, which I have had once on one of these tests, that the next step is to go and get a PCR test. So just something to bear in mind for people there. You would want to do that really quickly, order those online if you're taking them with you. And I think the best thing to do is to go onto the airline's website that you're flying with out of the country, or returning back with, more importantly, and just check which ones that they will accept.
Well, that's really great advice. Thank you so much, Sandra, for joining us. All of these are wonderful tips. I learned so much about this Clear. I'm going to be sure to upload my vaccination card to my Clear account, because I do have Clear. And as she said, you don't even have to have Clear. You can do it for free, and you don't have to worry about losing that card. Or I was out with a friend and she freaked out because she didn't have her card with her. So some other websites where you can go to check if you're here in California. I'm sure it's nationwide. But everything right now is all about our COVID status, our vaccination status, because everybody wants to be safe. And that's the most important thing as we gather during these holidays, is keeping ourselves safe, our families, and our communities. Again, always good to see you, my friend. My best to you, and enjoy that trip to France. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great Thanksgiving. All right. I want to thank all of my guests today for, those great cooking tips and travel tips that we all can use. The holidays can be so incredibly stressful. So any help that we can get is always. For some reason I was mute. I want to thank my guests this morning. Always happy to get those wonderful tips about the holidays. They can be really stressful. But we can make them a little less stressful when we have a great cookbook and we have recipes from chefs like Art Smith, and we have travel tips from my friend Sandra McLemore. So again, thanks to both of them for joining us this morning. Make sure you try that bread, because I haven't tried mine yet. I'm going to, but it looks super delicious. Just some words to live by before I get out. Give thanks for a little, and you will find a lot. Here are 5 ways, y'all, that we can exercise our gratitude muscles during this week. Make a list. Always important to make a list. You can write down what you're grateful for. You may think that there's things going wrong in your life, but when you start making that list, you'll start coming up with so many things that you can feel good about. Thank you notes. I know we all use email and text messages, and we DM on our social media accounts, but it's nothing like an old-fashioned handwritten note to make you feel good about something, and also to, make someone else's life feel a little brighter in that moment. And then read the Bible. Maybe go and read 34th Psalms. You can alter it to fit your own life experiences, but it's always uplifting when I read the Bible. Make a shrine, not a shrine like you're worshiping a god or something, but put together things that make you feel good. It may be a photo album of your kids. It might be a favorite painting, but something that you like to look at. Put it someplace prominent where you can pass by it and get that good warm feeling when you see it. And then there's what Art Smith talked about, those tennis shoes. Nothing makes you feel better than a good old gratitude walk or run. If you can't walk or run, maybe you do some chair exercises. But, getting that adrenaline going, getting that heart pumping will definitely make you feel good. We'll be back on Wednesday with another show to help you bring in the holidays and to help make the holidays brighter for you. I'm Alfred Nallo. Be safe. Remember to wear your mask. And remember, we're all in this together.